You're listening to 17 Carat K-Pop, the podcast that's a little bit of everything with a K-pop twist. From pop culture critiques to the history of K-pop to interviews with people in the K-pop industry and K-pop artists themselves, to concert and album reviews, to a deep dive into the discographies of different K-pop artists, to K-pop news updates, to stories about the music industry more broadly. This show tries to cover everything about K-pop and K-pop as it applies to the larger music and concert scenes. Visit 17caratkpop.weebly.com for more information about the show. That's 17caratkpop.weebly.com. Hello everybody and welcome back to 17 Carat K-Pop. Today on the show, 17 of my big predictions for the K-pop industry and what's in store for it in 2021. Let's just get right into the list, starting with number 1. The next big K-pop boy band is Ace. They are the ones who are set to have a huge year internationally. That's my big prediction. And I've honestly been saying this for a couple years now, since 2018. I've been talking both off the show and on the show about how I see big things in Ace's future. And so now that's all really coming to life now that they have new LA management, so they can have more of a global promo strategy. They have their first modeling gig for Century Recipe, or the first makeup modeling gig. They overall just have really developed a brand for themselves, their own webtoon show. There's a lot that's been happening for them in the past few years, and I saw all of that really accumulating into making a big splash globally. And so I don't mean to say I told you so, but I absolutely mean to say I told you so, because I see big things in Ace's future and did from the get-go. So anyway, you can hear more about my story of how I became a fan of Ace, aka a choice, if you check out the episode called Goblin to the Rhythm, quick PSA. Their marketing strategy has been really smart in several ways. First of all, they leaned into, from the get-go, the descriptions of them by both fans and haters alike as those boys in the shorts. They were known in the early days of their careers, those guys who wear the cool shorts in their videos, and they kept wearing the shorts. They didn't turn it away from that idea as if, that was a toxic label and they wanted to be viewed as more than that. They could be viewed more than that if they just put in the effort and the time and gave it time to show people who they really were, without just totally abandoning who they started out as, reputation-wise. They just grew from it and owned it. They also did what a lot of K-pop underdog acts do that I think is very smart, is that they don't wait to build up a huge fan base in the USA and other countries before touring overseas. They don't wait until they can fill an arena to go on those tours. And although that may seem financially like the better option, I would argue for a long-term global fan base to stay loyal to you, it helps actually more financially. It pays dividends in the long run if you don't wait and you start going on tour in the USA when you can only fill small venues. And that's what Ace did several times. They've only been around for a couple years now, and yet they've already toured the USA twice, and they've done other overseas shows. So to watch them do that it's just very important, I think, because that makes their shows more exciting for me personally to go to. They feel very intimate and special, and it's a family reunion vibe of sorts among the fans. And so for them to maintain that closeness to fans in other countries feels very special. They can cross over overseas literally, and they maintain that fandom relationship with you. So I just think for fandom loyalty over time, more touring, even if it's at smaller venues, early on in your career is key, and that's what they did. Also adding to their sense of just an intimate hangout with friends is the fact that Ace has always done a lot of busking. They're very famous for that in Korea, but also just in other countries that they've toured, like the USA. They've covered other artists' work and kept releasing solo music. They would tour and sing a lot of covers and a lot of solo songs, and they continue to do that. It's not like what some K-pop artists do where VAV is a good example, where a band will tour first in the USA, and when they do the first time, they sing a lot more covers than original songs, it seems, or at least equal, instead of the majority, their own songs, and then a few covers. What those groups tend to do is, while they're working on their own discography, they just perform cover songs during their shows because they don't have many original songs yet. And then as time goes on, they do less and less covers because they have more original material. But I think it's actually quite smart that Ace hasn't done that. And instead of going that traditional route, they've actually maintained quite the equal balance of performing covers and performing original stuff, even though they could be promoting their original music way more now because they have more of it now. They've covered several Blackpink songs. They have a beautiful cover of All of Me. They've done some 5 Seconds of Summer covers that are probably my favorite of the bunch. They really show their range and have done covers of both K-pop and non-K-pop artists' work. And then they became known for really those songs as much as, if not more than, their original music. Anyway, the bottom line here is that balance, I think, is really smart marketing because it keeps fans interested that wouldn't normally hear about Ace, because among 5 Seconds of Summer fandoms online, for example, they can start talking about this boy group from Korea they probably wouldn't have talked about otherwise. And among Blackpink fan circles, they're probably talking about Ace when they never would have otherwise. People are talking about Ace more because of the covers, and then that leads them to discover, wow, there's this whole world of original music from them as well. So there are just so many layers to enjoy when you get into Ace's discography, because it's quite the mix of classics that you love and new to you songs that you will learn to love. The second artist I predict will have a huge year this year is Six, spelled C-I-X. They have a few things in common with Ace, just broadly in terms of why I think they'll succeed, because they have a very unique brand for themselves that they've created and a unique fandom identity. They also have really done what Ace was doing with leaning into the idea of more intimate performances worldwide, not waiting to reach arena status. They were actually going to go on their first big headlining US tour before COVID hit, and they were going to have their big first headlining tour in Korea too. So big things were put on hold for them, but they will bounce back, I think, from it. Six also has a unique music video universe, which Ace does as well, that they're in the middle of creating, and it's very cool to watch those actions unfold, all of the allegories and allusions within their music video worlds, lots of symbolism they lean on. And we're going to actually talk about Six's music video universe a lot more in their own episode, coming very soon, wink wink, so that's all I'll say for now. Number 3. Everglow is set to have a huge year. Promise that my whole list of 17 predictions is not just about artists that'll have a good year, but the first part of the show is. And Everglow is definitely one of those groups I see big things for globally. They're a girl group who they're kind of viewed as rookies still, but they already were on their first big USA tour right before COVID hit. It was actually already in progress, and they were in the USA when they decided they had to cancel and fly back to Korea. 2 of their videos, actually, they broke a record, and 2 of their videos surpassed 100 million views in the exact same day. So their 2020 EP reached number 1 on the iTunes charts in the USA, which was huge and unexpected. And they charted in 8 different countries as well, which is a big deal. So they're gaining a lot of international recognition already, even though they just have a few EPs and singles out so far. I see big things for them, not just because the signs indicate that. They have some Blackpink vibes in their own unique way, but they just remind me of Blackpink's fierceness, and that just right out of the gates fierceness and the choreography with huge formations. I definitely get a Kill This Love Blackpink era vibe from everything Everglow does. I can definitely picture Everglow reaching USA Pop Radio and charting quite well on the USA Pop charts within the next few years. I also like that they have their slogan, Everglow Forever, Let's Go. Having a little catchphrase like that is a cool way to keep fans feeling like they're proud to be a fan. Like whenever Blackpink says Blackpink in your area, that's like a special moment in the song where you're like, they did the thing, and Everglow has their thing now, Everglow Forever, Let's Go. Number 4, aespa. They are the girl group we've talked about quite a bit before, the new one from SM Entertainment, so naturally that already primes them for success because SM Entertainment is so well known as a marketing juggernaut worldwide, so they have a lot of promo behind them. They have that unique universe where they like to say they actually have 8 members because they have 4 members that are human and then 4 avatar alter egos that are a part of their world. It opens up a whole new world of digital merging with the physical world possibilities for marketing that just keeps things super interesting and can keep all sorts of attention on them, not just from fans, but from the world of economists and people who are marketing and agents. I just think a lot of people will be taking notes in many sectors of the K-pop industry over the aespa marketing And I also think they will have success because they have such a unique concept and are building this whole world surrounding their avatars, and they have lyrics in their song that you can decode and add to the world building, like how they say in their debut single Black Mamba, talking about your existence brings me to another dimension, and is the me in the mirror still me, and things like that. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what the lyrics say. You can really just unpack the meaning of their songs and connect them to their avatar alter egos that they have to confront in this different world that they are in, this different dimension of being they're in. It keeps viewers super engaged and intrigued when there's a whole world behind a song. Alexa has a really unique concept behind her with ZB Label, her company, and they've worked very closely with her to let her be hands-on as they create this whole other world where her label is actually like the evil mastermind. ZB Corporation is a player in the music video universe, and Alexa has these superpowers, and she's basically, but she's also kind of the supervillain in some ways. It leaves a lot of room for interpretation, but it's a very cool sci-fi-esque concept that leads to very cinematic music videos. I definitely think Alexa's universe could have a lot of appeal in the USA to a USA audience. It's very action-packed. She also has fame already building for her other pursuits, like her podcast with Jay from Day 6, and she actually just posted the other day more dance covers of lots of iconic K-pop dances, like Kick It from NCT 127, one of my favorite songs ever, and so of course it's one of my favorite dance covers of hers ever. Her dance cover to Answered by ATEEZ is really great as well. God's Menu by Stray Kids, all the classics. She's just a very talented dancer, and so she definitely shows that off while also promoting her own music too. Number 6, NCT will have a huge year because they never don't have a huge year. As we've talked about at length on the show before, it's so smart to have so many members because it's 23 and counting so far. And so when some members are on a break, the other members can promote their own music. Or maybe there's a solo act who's promoting his music or an SM Station song, OST, etc. There's never a day where you're not thinking about the upcoming NCT release. They just started dropping teasers for Loveholic, which is out mid-February. Mark calendars for that one. So they can just keep doing that. And for example, with Loveholic, Taeyeon is still in the promo pictures and videos and whatnot. I would assume in the videos too that are coming because he's in the promo pictures. So Taeyeon's promoting this comeback even while he's on a break for his injury because he already pre-filmed and pre-recorded stuff. It's just very smart that they find ways to keep NCT on your mind every day. Number 7 is, of course, I have to say 17 because they had their late show debut last night. Last night as of recording time, and they also are just making waves. They were filling up arenas in the USA before COVID hit. They have really found a name for themselves globally, and I just obviously think the world of them, and I'm not going to blather on anymore. You know I see big things in their future. It's a mix of biased and data-driven reasons. Moving on to different predictions. I have some predictions about Blackpink's plans for 2021, which is number 8 on my list of predictions. Here's my predicted order. This is all my theorizing based on what I've heard and known about YG Entertainment's schedule for Blackpink and how things seem to be working out, and so just a lot of intuition really, so I could be totally wrong. We will see. Here's a tentative timeline for them, I think. So here are my predictions. I bet that since there is confirmation from YG that Lisa and Rosé are working on their solo promo debuts, really, when they get to promote a solo release like Jennie did last year or 2 years ago, I predict that first will be Lisa or Rosé in March. They will have March to promote their solo debut. And then the next month in April will be the other one. So either Lisa will be in March, Rosé in April, or vice versa. Then I think Blackpink will have a group-wide comeback in May. They will kick off this Song of the Summer debate about which song deserves Song of the Summer. They will just get people talking before festival season, even if it's another virtual festival season this year. They are just right before the summer music frenzy of Song of the Summer contenders being released. Blackpink will have a big comeback. Then I predict that Jisoo will get to do her solo promo way later on. Probably not even until 2022, just given how YG seems to draw out and time these things, and they will use the excuse, or maybe not an excuse, maybe it's a legitimate excuse, I don't know, but they will say it's because of her drama filming right now. So expect new things from them in March, April, and May. And then I also think throughout the year you'll see them in a lot more sponsorships and marketing deals and modeling a lot more products. I'm sure everyone wants Blackpink to rep their products. I would also expect them to have more Western collabs. They've already worked with Dua Lipa, and they've gotten quite close with some USA producers. They met a lot of people and networked quite a bit, it seems, at Coachella when they went in the pre-pandemic before times. And I think they've been working on a lot behind the scenes that just hasn't been released yet with these Western artists. So I wouldn't be surprised if they've worked with Ariana, because Ariana has a songwriting credit on their collab with Selena, so I feel like they've talked before. They probably will have a song out at some point with Zara Larsson. I don't know why, I just have a good feeling that they would vibe so well together in a video. So I have a feeling they've got some more Western collabs up their sleeve. I also wouldn't be surprised if they worked with Lil Miquela, because she has been posting about her Blink status, her status as a major Blackpink fan for a while now. Lil Miquela is the CGI influencer we've been talking about. Yes, I can totally picture Blackpink doing a video with the CGI character. It's 2021, anything could happen, tech is so advanced, and I can totally see YG Entertainment leaning into that idea of doing what SM Entertainment is doing in a way and kind of copying it by having a digital universe be opened up for Blackpink's world, just like aespa has theirs. I have some disbandment-related predictions that are all wrapped into number 9. First of all, I do unfortunately predict that GOT7 will disband, because lately there have been a lot of rumblings about that because their contracts are expiring this month. The 7-year curse is kind of reaching them, as it's called in the K-pop industry, where contracts expire and boy groups tend to disband after 7 years. Girl groups often do earlier than 7 years, actually, but anyway, the 7-year curse is at play here, I think. And part of the reason is because of the recent indicators. Jin is already talking about focusing more on acting and signing with Big Hit Entertainment to do so. He already has a lot of acting gigs with The Legend of the Blue Sea, and he is Psychometric, etc., so I definitely think he wants to go down the acting path more. I also think Yugyeom wants to do his own thing because he's been in talks, reportedly planning to work with AOMG, J Park's company, which would be an interesting departure for him and indicates that he really wants to go a more rap or R&B route than GOT7 gets to do. I also think in general, I can picture the GOT7 members getting tired of this because the whole concept and image behind GOT7 is very boyish and youthful, and I love it, but at the same time I can totally see why they wouldn't and why they would have outgrown it. You know, the whole aesthetic of playing on a sports team, or they had the whole Flight Log series of albums that was very much about going on a plane ride. It just, there's something that feels a bit like elementary school about it, and I love it, don't get me wrong, that super cute, wholesome stuff, but I can see why they wouldn't anymore. It may not end up being framed as a total breakup. I do think they will probably always say 7 or nothing, you know, GOT7 is for life, and they may do what BAP did where they disband, but they don't call it that. They say, no, we're taking a break from each other, and the band is still technically together, but not right now. I think they may word it like that, and who knows, we may get a comeback from them a few years down the line, but I think they may take a few years off. And they all have potential to spend this time working on more solo pursuits. Bam Bam already is the biggest star in Thailand on his own, so he can do a lot more modeling gigs there. He can do a lot of commercials there like he's already been doing. Work again with F-Hero or other Thai artists. Jackson already has quite the Western pop impact too with his first album Mirrors, and he actually, you know what I was wondering is, this is kind of out there, but why not? Maybe he should try out for the Olympics, because he's just such a skilled dancer. That's how he was discovered. He was picked up basically off the streets of Hong Kong after he was known as a street dancer there, and that's how he ended up auditioning for JYP Entertainment. And breakdancing is officially an Olympic sport starting in a few years, so just throwing that out there, he could become an Olympian in breakdancing someday. I was just thinking about this lately because Cody Simpson, this pop star who I absolutely adored growing up, is training for the Olympics in swimming, and so you never know in life where it'll take you. Then you've got JB already releasing some solo tracks on his SoundCloud under a stage name, so I just think a lot of them are ready to take a break from the group-wide promo. I also think that disbandments and the 7-year curse are going to be a lot more common. Maybe it'll be even reduced to like a 4-year curse, because the K-pop industry is getting so saturated. So many groups, hundreds of K-pop groups are debuting every year. That's no exaggeration. It used to be maybe like 20 new groups out a year, but now it's like over 100. So I definitely think disbandments are just going to be more common because it'll be harder and harder for a group to gain momentum that they can hold on to. Especially right now when the promo opportunities globally are way lessened because of the pandemic and the lack of travel and the lack of big name-making events that they could have, like at K-Con. Those are not happening now, and their big break then can't come. I also see a lot of potential reunions as not happening and disbandments feeling more permanent. For example, with IOI, those members all came together and had plans and were in talks of having a big group comeback, and that rumor continues to be floated around at times, but I don't see that IOI reunion ever happening because the individual members are gaining so much success on their own. Chunha was signed to ICM Partners, which has a lot of international talent. Somi just signed with Interscope Records, and they help promote Gaga and Maroon 5 and other big names in the Western pop scene. I just think the members are growing beyond and past the IOI concept, and probably don't want to go back to that while they're in the middle of fulfilling their solo dreams. I also don't think 101 will ever have a big comeback. They were going to have some sort of reunion performance at the Mamas in 2020, but that didn't end up happening, and the reason was pretty vague. The company just said, after further discussion, we decided we won't do this. And so I have a feeling that they just creatively growing apart and getting older. I also think it's a big hindrance to 101 ever reuniting that they never took off in the USA. Their tickets in the USA, they did try to tour here actually at arenas first, which again, sometimes I don't think is smart. You should start small and, undersell and over-deliver in the world of touring, but they didn't, and so they sold so few tickets for the arena-sized shows they had to downgrade to theater-sized shows, and then even then, there were so few buyers that they dropped the ticket price to $6 a piece. 6, that's 6.00, not 6D, not 16, just 6. So I definitely think that left a permanent hesitation for them and their company to ever try doing something again that would gain global recognition. Speaking of touring, my 10th prediction is that there will not be 2021 fall tour announcements, but there will be a lot of announcements in 2021 for 2022 tours. I think a lot of K-pop acts are planning things, but 2021 in the fall is just way too uncertain, at least for the USA's future, given this current timeline of events and when there will be enough vaccination and stuff to get this pandemic under control. I just don't see it happening before 2022, any of this touring, and so I would expect K-pop acts to not tour until next year, but next year, buckle up. Everyone will be touring. All the tours that they had planned the past few years, they'll try to get back up and running, and the 2022 plans. Because remember, artists of all kinds plan out these tours years in advance, and so we're going to get like 3 years worth of tours that were planned at once, so buckle up. Prediction 11 is related to that. K-Con, I think, for 2021 will stay virtual. I don't think it'll have any in-person components. K-Con actually quite smoothly pivoted to having a virtual version. The acts were still engaging. They found ways to use AR technology and stuff to really bring their performances to life still. They could make a lot of money still. They could still sell merch. They sold different premium subscription options to watch the show and behind-the-scenes content. And so it's still a moneymaker for them, not as much as it could be in person, but they are still finding ways to stay profitable, and they also got a lot of content out of it, like the docu-series that came out afterwards, so they could really milk this week of virtual content for all it's worth again. So I definitely think they'll try to do that again, because the future of artists being able to travel and all of that again is still so uncertain. I don't think by summer 2021 they'll be ready for that. Also related to the pandemic, I predict that due to all of these artists staying indoors and just not really, they're just socially distancing, so they're not really out and about as much. The paparazzi are really just restless and wondering what to take pictures of, especially in other countries where they're social distancing and taking that more seriously. So I think Dispatch, the notorious media site in Korea that is known to uncover a bunch of K-pop scandals, as they call them, like who's dating who. The rumor machine driven by Dispatch I don't think will be like it once was. So there will be no typical January surprise from Dispatch this year. I do see them having more January surprises, I guess you could say, other months of the year this time. Maybe because people violated social distancing guidelines and stuff. But as for actual, like, exposing dates and stuff, I don't think Dispatch will have the big splash they've made other years. Next prediction. I think a lot more K-pop stars will continue to follow in the footsteps of Tableau and Eric Nam and Alexa and Jay, Pentagon, etc., and have their own podcasts or have their own YouTube channels. I just think they're going to continue to have different social media-based outlets for expressing themselves because they see these K-pop artists do that, and then they can approach their management and ask if they can do the same and follow in their footsteps and show, look, it pays off to let your artist do this. It is probably a little easier to ask your boss if you feel like you're not getting enough solo music promo opportunities to ask for, okay, well, can I at least get my own YouTube channel or something, or at least get my own Instagram account? I think that's an easier question to ask of them, less intimidating to ask, and more likely to have them say yes to. So the precedent has been set, and a lot more K-pop artists now will hopefully get that creative freedom, especially when they have less in-person promo opportunities. Their management's probably more likely to say, yeah, go ahead and keep promoting yourself online, you know? Plus, if they like audio-based content, maybe they should also consider being guest stars on 17 Carat K-Pop if they're into that stuff. Just throwing that out there. Next prediction is that Max will collaborate with more K-pop stars going forward. I think he'll be on a lot more K-pop collaborations for a couple of reasons. One is that Max is just so likable and a genuine K-pop fan. Max Schneider, by the way, I'm not talking about the other Max, who actually changed his stage name, I think, to Max Chainman just because maybe he realized that Max is already a solo stage name for a Western pop artist. But anyway, so this Max that I'm talking about, I think he's just such a genuine fan of K-pop, and he tweets all the time about Luna and Day 6 and 17, just showing appreciation for them, and when they put his music on their playlist or the recommended lists, when he just likes their cover they did or whatever, he always gives them shout-outs and praise, and so I think he's really just likable to them, and they're probably very likely to accept his request to collaborate, and I'm sure he wants to. I also think Steve Aoki could be a cool intermediary because Max has worked with Steve Aoki, and Steve Aoki works with a lot of K-pop stars. He's working with Ace on a remix of Favor Boys right now. So, I totally think he could help link up Max with different K-pop stars, get a lot of collabs. I just would be very excited to see this happen. Number 15. In an episode of my show called Thai Hopes, I talked about how Thailand and Thai pop music might have its big breakout moment globally. But I do want to put that prediction of mine on pause for now. I don't see that happening before 2022 at the earliest because of just the recent developments in the political and social climate in Thailand. Quick recap, we've talked on the show about Thai pop being invested in through this Bangkok-based girl group called Lyra, who have already gained millions of YouTube views, and they're a subunit of a group that is already super big internationally. So Lyra is this new subunit that is focused on promo in Thai pop. That is their new genre they're carving out that they hope to make a global splash with and have international representation to do so. But I just think that, I think their work is just going to have to change a bit right now just because of the current moment is just so uncertain, unpredictable, and a rocky ground that I don't see them as, I don't see the entertainment industry as being a funding or otherwise a soft power focus of Thailand right now. So any investments, financially or otherwise, that could be made towards Lyra and similar groups, I just see as not being their main concern, and they'll probably put on hold any of that, but we'll see. Quick explainer of what's going on in Thailand I will give on a future episode, but basically there is this constitutional monarchy, but due to a military coup in 2014 that has led to some opposition, that has led to some arrests, and the citizens are creating a list of these 10 demands because they want a new constitution. They want this dissolution of this parliament who they think illegally seized power. They want the resignation of the prime minister who seized power. And so these things are not happening, so there have been protests there. So it's just a lot going on. I don't think the entertainment sector is the focus of Thailand's government right now. Similarly, my prediction number 16 is that C-pop will not have a moment, at least for the next few years, and probably longer. They've never been that concerned with promoting overseas, which is why a lot of C-pop artists have songs out that don't have English titles or anything like that, so they're not just easy to like search in Spotify if you don't know Chinese. You just have to find them, be a fan, and follow them on Spotify to know when they drop something new. They also clearly do not care about like promoting the artists overseas through social media because a lot of Chinese artists cannot promote their music. They don't have Twitter accounts, Instagram, etc. So they can't make a splash overseas. But I predict that will just further not be a concern even more. For what I'm really thinking about is how, for example, with Jolin Tsai, who is known as like a queen of C-pop in my life and in everyone else's, she resumed her tour already in some Taiwan locations because they can't. Taiwan has only had 7 COVID deaths this whole time. 7, not 7-0, just 7. They really nipped this in the bud, and so she was free to go back to filling up arenas right away. So she's back to like kind of normal life with touring, and that just got me thinking about, well, would she then ever go on a US leg of this world tour of hers? And I don't see that as happening for a while now because of COVID, but also just politically and culturally, I don't see that happening. I think any global outreach, global exporting of their culture that China would focus on is totally not the focus right now because of things like the fact that there's no competition. For example, the Chinese box office just surpassed the USA's a few weeks ago as officially becoming the biggest box office in the world. They were right behind the USA in that ranking, and now they passed the USA. So they are not really super concerned financially in terms of how much money they can make through their culture. It's a huge country, and promoting just within the country already can create enough of a fan base for an artist to make money. Then they don't need to invest these resources overseas, is what I'm trying to say. And so I definitely don't see them doing that anytime soon. And lastly, prediction number 17, in better news, BTS I think will win their Grammy. They are nominated for Best Pop Duo or Group Performance, and their performances are so incredible. I definitely think they deserve it. They also have just over the years been increasingly getting the Western media recognition they deserve. They're Time Magazine's Entertainer of the Year, for crying out loud. They've been on SNL now. They've been on the late night shows. All those markers of having really made it in the USA, they've been granted now. And so I definitely think the next step is giving them a Grammy. And remember also their tuxedos were on display at the Grammy Museum for a little while, which is an honor that's been given to Rihanna and Amy Winehouse, Michelle Obama. So they're building up their reputation despite the obstacles that were in their way and the just people turning a blind eye to music that is not in English. But now they're getting recognition that they deserve, and I definitely see the Grammy happening. So if it is virtual, which I'm sure it will be, even though the Grammys was postponed to March now, no way that we'll handle the pandemic in the USA by March, and so I'm sure that it'll probably just be a digital acceptance speech, so that's a bit disappointing for them, but it's still a dream fulfilled for them, and I hope it's still a special moment for them. And I do see it happening this year, I really do. Thank you all for listening to my predictions, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.